Hi, everybody. I'm Louise Gittleman, First Lady of Nutrition, the New York Times bestselling author of over 35 books, and we're here to talk about diet myths. But before I do that, I'd love to know where all of you are from. I'm filming today and coming to you live from the great state of Idaho, where it is a very, very rainy day, to be quite honest with you. And I know there's been a lot of questions these days with regard to diet, the best diet, the worst diet, all the diet fads, the diet crazes. But what seems to have been trending in the headlines, at least for the past week or so, is this very, very deadly virus. And so I want to give you some tips on viral health. And I think what it's important to note is that the strongest defense is a really strong offense. And so maximizing immunity is where it's at, and regardless of what virus we may be talking about, the coronavirus, any other kind of flu virus, God forbid, any other thing that may be deadly that could be circulating these days. And many years ago, my teacher, who lived to the ripe young age of 106, taught me a secret. And that is that when the body is exposed to virus or any kind of disease entity where you didn't know the underlying cause, it was very helpful if you alkalinize the system. And we do that in a very unique, easy, and inexpensive way. The first thing you do when you're starting to feel fluish and achy with pains and aches and shivering and maybe the cold sweats is to get into a salt and soda bath. So I'm going to suggest that if you're exposed to anything out there that may not be friendly to your immune system, that you think about taking a salt and soda bath at least once or twice a week. Now, the formula for that is 2 cups of baking soda and 2 cups of sea salt. You get into that sea salt and soda bath, you rest in there for about 20 minutes with very hot water. Rest in there until the water cools, and that will officially start to alkalinize your system. You're not supposed to take a shower at least 4 hours after that bath, and you can then go to sleep if you take it at night. The other thing to do if it's during the day and you're feeling fluish, and this has kept me going for many, many years when I was traveling so much back and forth coast to coast, is to use at least a quart of water. Filtered water is best, or even some distilled water, and you put a full teaspoon of baking soda with a teaspoon of sea salt. I love the Celtic salts or good Himalaya salt. There's something called scalar salt, which I can talk about with you on another occasion. And you put that in the water. You then take 8 ounces of that every 2 hours until you finish the entire quart. That will also officially mineralize your system, alkalinize your system, because many of these infectious diseases take root in an overly acid body. So that's what I want to suggest to you. Now, to go on for the subject of the day, which is busting diet myths, because there's all kinds of myths that surround us in this day and age. And I know because I wrote a book called Your Body Knows Best way back in 1996, which was a bestseller in Germany because the Germans were way ahead of us here. Only recently have we been talking about biochemical individuality. So my first myth that we're going to bust is that one size fits all. And as many of you know, I'm not a believer in a high-fat diet for everybody or a low-fat diet for everybody, but I believe that we need a higher-fat diet for most of us. And the best fats for that higher-fat diet include the omega-6s and the omega-3s, which are known as essential fatty acids. You also need a certain amount of the 7s, which you can get in macadamia nuts, macadamia oil, or the 9s in avocado and olive oil. I'm a big believer that if you're taking a lot of saturated fats in the diet, you also need the omega-3s and 6s, which are essential fatty acids. And so important were they that in 1982, no less than 3 Nobel Prizes in medicine were awarded to prostaglandin research, which are the end results of the use of essential fatty acids that control every tissue and gland in your body on a minute-by-minute basis. So one size does not fit all. One size does not fit all, but one size can fit all if you start changing your regimen. Now, in that regard, I think it's important to understand that as we get older, we actually need more dietary protein. I've been doing new research on a book that's coming out called Radical Longevity. It should be releasing in 2021. And what I've learned is that as we get older, we actually need more protein because we lose the ability to digest it. So about 100 grams of protein a day if you're over the age of 60, as some of us have been privileged to live that long. And if you're going to be calculating your protein grams, you want at least 30 grams per meal. So that gives you 90 grams, maybe a little smoothie during the day. That'll give you an extra 20. That's at least 110. So more protein is more efficiently used as we get older because you don't have the digestive enzymes as you did when you were younger. For those of you that need more digestive help, there's always some little apple cider vinegar and a supplement called HCl plus 2 that I created that's available at AnnLouise.com. And for those of you with an A blood type that may need more digestive help, that's also very helpful. So one size does not fit all. And you're going to find that men, as a rule, will need a little bit more protein, maybe 20 extra grams a day, as well as athletes that are using up so many calories. So having said that, let me go to my next diet myth. And that next diet myth is your DNA determines your diet destiny. Your DNA determines your diet destiny. Now, is that true or false? Well, it's true and false because your DNA does not determine your health destiny. Your dietary habits, your thoughts, your exercise, your supplements. You can overcome anything, I believe, with the proper epigenetics and good dietary habits. But I do believe that it's important for those of you that really have inherited certain disease proclivities, and I'm a type 2 diabetic or the daughter of a type 2 diabetic, and it's rampant in my family. I have found it very helpful to do some sort of genetic coding. Now, whether you use the LabCorp or whether you use Quest, there are all these independent labs that I believe now give you your DNA code. The ones that are most important, that have been most helpful to me, are the ones that are the MTHFR, and I'm an individual that has 3 out of 4 detox pathways blocked. So it means that I cannot, as some of you as well, cannot tolerate medications or drugs. And we need to take all of our vitamins, especially the B vitamins, in a methylated form. That goes for your methylcobalamin, that also goes for your folate. So that's exceedingly important. It's also important to know what your CBS gene is doing, which is your ability to detoxify and to detoxify sulfur in particular. Last but not least, I think it's important to understand this because many of you are born with what they call the AOE 3/4, APOE 3/4, which is the APOE 3/4 gene. And that means that you do not have the ability to metabolize saturated fats. And that's about 25% of the population. So for those of you on a high saturated fat diet, that may not be appropriate for you. And the only way to know is if you take a genetic test or you take a lipid test that is now available through Quest or through the LabCorp and figure out what is going on with your lipids. I have worked with many clients where we could not lower any of their LDLs until we took away saturated fats in the form of cheese, particularly the daily Caesar salads that my clients were taking in the form of lunch every single day. So I have found that many of these saturated fats not only are inappropriate for certain genetic types, but they're also higher in something called advanced glycation end products, or AGEs. The highest foods that are high in AGEs are the ones that are most popular on the ketogenic diets, and that would be your bacon as well as your cheese. So those are 2 foods that are no-nos for those of you that cannot metabolize saturated fats or perhaps have a history of heart disease in the family. So after your DNA destiny does not determine your diet history, then now the next one is high-fat diets are best for weight loss. High-fat diets are best for weight loss. Well, that may be true for some, but I would say, to kind of qualify that a higher fat diet, 70% fat in a diet is a kind of diet that you cannot continue, you cannot sustain for long periods of time. And any of my clients that come back to my Fat Flush program at fatflush.com, or my Radical Metabolism programs at radicalmetabolism.com have all tried a ketogenic diet. When they go off the diet and start eating regular food, they gain the weight back at an exceedingly high rate. I had 8 clients this week with that issue. So you are then upsetting your microbiome, you're upsetting your ability to metabolize gallstones, you're upsetting your ability to metabolize regular toxins because of the load on the kidneys, and it's also affecting your beneficial bacteria in your microbiome. So a better number to look for when you're getting healthy by the numbers is a 40% fat diet. And the 40% fat diet that is most popular and nobody can find any issue with is the Mediterranean diets. It just so happens that my fat flush as well as my radical metabolism are 40% fat. So for many people that need a short-term diet fix, a little bit of keto here or there I think is okay for short-term, but it was never designed for long-term use. So I want you to keep that in mind when you keep seeing all of these headlines about keto over 50, keto over 40, keto over 30, keto over 20. It may be good for people that are suffering from seizures and need to really get their blood sugars in line, but the diet that gets you well is not the diet that keeps you well. Next is you should eat according to the seasons. Is that a myth or is that a fact? Well, that is not a myth. It's actually a fact. And what I want to suggest to you that when the weather is very cold, that's the time to eat warming foods. When the weather is very hot, you can eat more cooling foods like cooling fruits. It's also the time during the spring and summer to do a fast with juices because your body will then be cooled. So look at what Mother Earth has provided during the seasons and eat your root vegetables in the winter and eat your cooling fruits and even some of your tropical fruits in the summer. Next, but not at all, not least, is salt is bad for you. Now, we all know that salt is good for you. Salt is not bad for you. In a recent study that was published, it was in Lancet in 2018, suggests that it's only when your diet contains more than 5,000 milligrams of sodium are you at risk for heart disease and stroke. The sweet point is about 4,000 to 5,000 milligrams, which is quite a lot higher than the American Heart Association has been recommending. You need salt for all of your enzymes, you need salt for your adrenals, you need salt for your heart. Next, we have saturated fats create heart disease. Saturated fats create heart disease. Now, we now know that that's not the case. They have since been vindicated. But there's a small group of you that cannot metabolize the saturated fats with that ApoE3/4 that I just mentioned. So in that case, saturated fats should be mitigated. I'm talking about coconut oil. I'm talking about butter. I'm talking about ghee. I'm talking about cheese. So for some of you, saturated fats are not the healthiest route for your heart. Next is fresh is best when it comes to frozen. Fresh is best when it comes to vegetables and fruits. So I just let the cat out of the bag. Fresh is best when it comes to fruits and vegetables. That's not always the case because a lot of fruits and vegetables that you're getting at the store have actually been picked at an unripe state, whereby when you eat something that's frozen, it could be picked at the peak of ripeness. So I wouldn't negate the use of fresh or frozen fruits and vegetables because frozen is just as healthy in many cases, if not more, than fresh. Next is something that I know you all know if you've been reading any of my books, from Beyond Pritikin to the Fat Flush Plan to Radical Metabolism to get the sugar out, is that diet soda helps you lose weight. Diet soda does not help you lose weight because all of these sugar alcohols and artificial sweeteners can trick your insulin into thinking you're actually taking real sugar. So we're finding that people are actually gaining more weight when they're taking diet drinks that are made from Splenda or aspartame. And I have a sneaking suspicion that the sugar alcohols will also come under scrutiny. Next but not least is that organic foods are more nutritious. Now, we know that that's the case, so this is not a myth. Organic foods are more nutritious. They do not have all of the pesticides, the herbicides, the fungicides, and the mold that so many of our other foods are really replete in this day and time. And they're also much more likely not to have any of the glyphosates. Next is something that I want to discuss with you for a moment, and that is that soy has no place in a healthy diet. If the soy that you're eating is non-GMO and if it is fermented. It is actually a very healthful food to be taken in moderation 2 to 3 times a week. I'm talking about non-GMO organic tempeh, non-GMO organic miso, non-GMO organic natto. I'm also talking about a little bit of tofu. So a little bit of soy goes a long way and can be very helpful in terms of hormonal health as well as insulin resistance. Last but not least is chocolate causes acne. Now, it isn't the chocolate that causes acne, but it is the sugar that is in the chocolate that causes acne and can be very, very deleterious, just the way dairy can because of all the hormones that are even in organic dairy. So for those of you that are not just interested in your waistline, but also the health of your skin, realize that chocolate does not cause acne. However, it is usually a high source of sugar. And last, but perhaps not least, is that eggs raise cholesterol. We now know that that is absolutely not true because the American Heart Association no longer tells you not to eat whole egg yolks. So we know that eggs can be very, very helpful in terms of weight loss. They're also a high source of choline, which is so important to prevent Alzheimer's, and they're a high source of lutein. But the problem with eggs is if you do not have a gallbladder or have gallbladder issues, eggs is the one of the most allergic or sensitive provoking foods that we have for people with gallbladder issues or gallbladder pain. So reduce your eggs, reduce your onions, reduce your pork if there's any issue at all with your gallbladder. Now, having said that, I want to say that you can control, you can beat anything, including your expanding waistline. That's why I believe that health, once again, is God's greatest gift to man or woman. And if you think that's true, show me a little thumbs up. And health is that which we use up for 40 years in order to gain wealth after we use up our wealth to try and recapture our health. So we can turn all of that around by busting all of these diet myths. And I know that there may be a few little questions, so I'm ready to answer those, and I'm here at your service. Matt. Question. Bonnie is here. Question, Bonnie.
What program is the easiest way to lose 10 to 15 pounds really fast?
Okay, which of my programs is the easiest to lose 10 to 15 pounds really fast? Go to AnnLouise.com or FatFlush.com. You will see the tried and true program that's been around for 20 years that allows you to eat the right kind of fats, the right kind of carbohydrates, and smooth out cellulite in the process. Very good for everybody of every stage and age of life, including those of us that are perimenopausal, menopausal, and beyond menopause. Is there another question?
Is Fat Flush healthy for the long haul?
Is Fat Flush healthy for the long haul? Fat Flush is my, how shall I say this, is my wildly popular program that was introduced in the year 2001. And it's still a very popular program that for many people that need to maintain their weight loss, that need to get slim fast, as well as for those that need to use a detox and diet program. It was probably the program that kicked off the detox diet revolution, and from which every program that you see now on the market is based upon. They're all standing on the shoulders of Fat Flush, and it's still as relevant today as it was when it was written as a best-selling book back in 2001. Next question.
Is Radical Metabolism just for getting your metabolism up?
Is Radical Metabolism just for getting your metabolism up? Radical Metabolism is the book that I wrote for no to slow losers that don't have a gallbladder or that have a low thyroid. So it's for people with glandular issues, those of us that are not losing weight as fast as we'd like to, and those of us that want to keep our gallbladders at all costs. It's for men, it's for women, it's for teens, it's for people that are aged 18 through 80. Is there one other question?
I need to lose 40 to 50 pounds. What diet would work best for me? And how long does it usually take if I follow the diet strictly?
So the best ultra fat flush program is one called Smoothie Shakedown. You can find it discussed at annlouise.com or smoothieshakedown.com. You can actually go to the website directly. It's a program that I created as an ultra fat flush, which focuses on smoothies and the right fats. You're actually getting omega-3s. You're getting a little bit of coconut oil now. You're getting a little bit of avocado. You're getting the best of all the fats world.
And what is the Smoothie Shakedown?
Smoothie Shakedown is a program where you have 2 smoothies a day and 1 full meal at night. And it's a program which has been very healthful. So for people that don't like to have any options and want to know what to eat morning, noon, and night, we lay it out very, very plainly. Again, go to smoothieshakedown.com. One more question.
Is coconut oil in the Follow Your Heart vegan cheese healthy? And will it raise your cholesterol?
All right, so is the coconut oil that is in Follow Your Heart cheese, which is the dairy substitute that I find very helpful for people getting off of cheese, will it raise cholesterol because it's a coconut oil product? No, it will not. We do not find that coconut oil raises cholesterol in the majority of people that eat it, and we find that it also is able to take the lid off the cravings for cheese. Okay, one more question.
Where can you get DNA testing?
DNA testing is usually provided by many of these Ancestry.com type websites, but people have an aversion to using them because I believe that they sell the data. I personally did mine through 23andMe and got a full readout of everything that I needed to know, and it was exceedingly helpful so that I understand that I cannot detoxify the way the normal person does. And because most of you have the same types of genetic layout that I do, the genetic situation, many of you cannot detoxify. There's 30 to 50% of us that have a glitch in our detoxification genomics. So I would suggest that having that done is exceedingly important, and we'll do another Facebook Live on the importance of this so that you understand the broad strokes and then how to modify your diet, how to modify your supplements, and your overall health routine.
How do you break up gallstones?
How do you break up gallstones? Okay, so you break up gallstones using a product called orthophosphoric acid, which you can get online. I think the companies, there are 2 companies. There's one called Biotics at Phosphozyme, and there's another called Phosfood from Standard Process. You follow the directions of Phosfood, the orthophosphoric acid. You take maybe 30 drops in the morning, 30 drops in the afternoon, and then you get a product called Bile Builder, which will also help to break up gallstones because it contains a lot of the lipotrophic nutrients that we need, from choline to inositol to methionine to lipase, which is a digestive enzyme. I will take just one more and then say goodbye. Go ahead, please.
What is the right food when you're going through menopause?
What is the right food when you're going through menopause? The right food is something that helps to balance your hormones. And if you've got issues with estrogen dominance, you're going to want to take an estrogen modulator, which is why I always suggest a high lignin flaxseed oil. The studies have shown that high lignin flaxseed oil is an estrogen modulator. And as an estrogen modulator, if you've got high estrogen, it will bring it down. Low estrogen, it will bring it in balance. So 2 tablespoons a day, according to the research, is all that you need to really balance your estrogen. And you can take that in high lignin flaxseed oil or 3 to 4 tablespoons of a toasted flax seed itself. I know we keep getting all these questions that are coming into my website. Is there one more question?
Just mention annlouise.com.
Oh, I'm told by my team, for more information on any of these cutting edge bits of information, you've got to go to annlouise.com. We now have a podcast, a First Lady of Nutrition podcast. We have ALG TV, in which I'm going to be interviewing all of the cutting edge people with information that is age old wisdom mixed with cutting edge science. So on that note, I'm going to say goodbye, good luck. We're going to answer all of your questions online, and I thank you so much, and I'll see you next time.